Hello and welcome to Exploited Crimes and Technology. My name is Opal Singleton, and we come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on AM 590, The Answer. Well, I don't know about you folks, but it's been an interesting week or two, especially in the news and in the public and all the things that are happening. This show is brought to you by an organization called Million Kids, MILLION, millionkids.org. We're a local organization, although we do national work. And the main source of our work is that we combat things like sex trafficking and labor trafficking and sextortion, online social media exploitation, child pornography, normally known as child sexual abuse materials, money laundering, foreign national trafficking, all kinds of things like that. That is the normal course of our work. And we've been doing that about, going on 15 years now. It's hard to believe. I was just a child when we started. Anyway, one of the things that I feel so strong about is what a tremendous community that we have, that we live in here at the Inland Empire. We seem to be kind of an anomaly for much of the state of California, kind of a safe haven for conservative thinking, I think, or people who just want to do what's right. And every now and then I go out in public, I make speeches, and I run into some of you, and you tell me that you never miss the show or they catch it whenever they can. And one of the things that I often hear is that I have an unusual voice. I don't know what to think about that. Of course, I just hear myself as I hear myself. But I wanted this show because I feel like it's important that we build community, that we stand against crime, and that we take a stance about what is right and wrong. I don't know about you folks, but my heart has been heavy over the last few months. It seems like our world is kind of tilted off to some weird place. There's constant talk about whether or not we're going to have war and nuclear war and war with China and war starting in Taiwan, or things that are happening in the Ukraine and the Middle East. And, there's always been some times in our life where things have been unsettled. But along with it, there seems to be some sort of deterioration of the value of moral living, of doing what's right. And it seems like so many times out there lately to me that black is white and white is black and wrong is right and right is wrong. And it's just, it's a weird time. One of the things I saw on the news, and you just can't get away from it, it's everywhere. It follows you, this 24-hour news cycle and constant feeding of emails and announcements and, racy headlines and, whether or not Harry is going to get to go to the coronation and if Meghan's going to go with him. And just in case you get away from it long enough to go in the grocery store, they give you the headlines right there so you don't miss out anywhere you go. One of the things I saw this week was this mob that took place over in Compton. I don't know if you saw that or not, but it was just sickening to me. What had happened is that a large group of young people of all ethnicities, as far as I could tell, a large group of young people were assembled outside of Compton, and they were in front of a gas station, I think it was, a convenience store kind of thing. And there was just one young man inside working. He must have sensed that this thing was about to go wrong because he went over and locked the door. Then he locked himself in the bathroom. Hopefully, he took a cell phone with him and some protection, and hopefully he was able to call the police. But what happened next was just mind-boggling to me. What happened is that a large group of kids, at least 40, looked like maybe 60, 80, or 100. I don't know exactly how many. And many of them were putting up their hoodies over their head in hopes of not being seen. But we saw the faces of many of them. And they took some sort of instrument. I don't know where they got it, if they brought it to the mob with them or what. And they pounded away on this door that this young man had locked, and until they got in. And they swarmed in there and took whatever they wanted, causing a great deal of damage. And I'm saying to myself, how much stuff can be in a gas store that's worth taking, that is worth changing the rest of your life for? Because while many of them were trying to hide their faces, many of them, you saw their faces, and some of them look like normal, nice people. I mean, that's what they look like. If I passed them on the street, I wouldn't probably be afraid. They look like any other nice young person. And yet here they are compromising their entire future. Now, of course, you and I have to assume that sooner or later, some of them will be caught and arrested. I know the typical line of thinking is that, nothing will be done about it. But quite frankly, it would be really, really sad if nothing was done about that. They were going in there causing massive amounts of destruction, taking property that is not theirs, and threatening the very safety of an employee who is very much just like them, a young person, but this young person was willing to go to work, earn some money, and do what was right. And I watch that and I say to myself, what is going on in our society that this is happening? Now, a lot of this, you say to yourself, well, it probably had to do with social media. I suspect it does. You often hear me say technology is not good or bad. You can it's like driving a car. You can go off to a university and get a degree, go to a church and have a spiritual experience, or you can go to a strip club and get yourself in trouble, or you can drive it over to join a mob and do something that is totally illegal. And if, in fact, they have your photo, and if, in fact, they actually prosecute you, you most likely are going to give up any good opportunity that you might ever have. Many of those kids look like they might be in college, but they weren't right then when they decided to take on that convenience store. And I say to myself, 15 minutes of stupidity will change their life for the rest of their life. But the other thought that is in my heart is, what are these people thinking? Do they honestly believe that's okay to go in and take something that you did not earn, something that is somebody else's, and be able to cause major damage, and you feel like that's okay because there's 50 or 100 of you? Somewhere along the line, our society has got to get back to the basics of what is appropriate and what will build character and what will give you a return on a good life. These short-term incidents will reflect on their lives for the rest of their lives. Now, many of them will walk away and never get caught. But that does not mean that it was something that built character. And I wonder if any of those people will look back on that and say, I should not have done that. I'm more mature than that. I'm more moral than that. I'm a better person than that. And I look at this and I say, this is one of the problems with our society when our leaders, many of our leaders, are standing there saying, well, if you come from a poor part of town or you're a particular background, we have to be a little more tolerant with you because it's just more difficult for you. It's difficult for everybody. All of us have some sort of difficulties. Now, many people have more difficulties than others. I work in many high-risk communities because I combat things like trafficking and online exploitation. But that does not mean just because you're poor, just because you haven't had the right things in life, does not mean that we can take shortcuts when it comes to having character. Character is not related to the color of your skin, and character is not related to how much money you have. Character is a decision that is made by yourself, that you want to be somebody that accomplishes something and something to be proud of, not something that took place in a fleeting moment with your face on TV as you go in and cause major destruction on that property. This is Opal Singleton. We are coming up against that break, so stay with us. We're going to be right back.
Are you tired of eating at the same old restaurants? Let me tell you about a fabulous Italian restaurant we found in Riverside, Mamma Mia's Italian Restaurant. Their caprese salad is exquisite with candied balsamic glaze. All of their sauces are special recipes using only the best olive oils. The salads are fresh and healthy. They offer a wonderful array of pastas, including shrimp scampi, capellini, bolognese, and lasagna. They're famous for their gourmet pizza, and you can order online for takeout or have a special date for dining in with family and friends. Mamma Mia's caters special occasions and host private events. You have to try it out. Mamma Mia's Italian Restaurant, located at 10971 Magnolia Avenue in Riverside, 1 block north of La Sierra on Magnolia. That's Mamma Mia's in Riverside. Be sure to tell Michael, Alex, or Joseph you heard it on AM 590 The Answer.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of MillionKids.org. I believe the 4 most powerful words on earth are I believe in you. So we created a challenge coin that says, I believe in you on one side and stand tall, you are loved on the other side. This one-of-a-kind challenge coin is a perfect gift for birthdays, anniversaries, graduation, Christmas presents, or just an anytime gift for someone you love. What a powerful message for a parent or a grandparent to give to a young person. This 2-inch coin is made of polished gold. It's striking to look at, and it is priceless to hold. It is packaged in a beautiful black velvet gift box. What a great way to leave a legacy of love that will last forever. To purchase this coin, go to millionkids.org/gallery. Each coin is $25. Go to millionkids.org/gallery to purchase and give a legacy of love.
Real estate sales in the Inland Empire are really hot. Sellers and buyers recognize that these low interest rates will not last. Sean and Colleen at Caldwell Banker Armstrong Properties in Riverside are proud to sponsor this show. They are the best in the Inland Empire. They're fair, honest, creative, and they care about you and your situation. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call Sean and Colleen at 951-529-4066.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton and I'm on a roll. Forgive me, but I just look at what is happening in our society and it just makes my skin crawl. You know, I work with all kinds of people in my job. Some of them have money and a lot of money. And some of them are don't have so much money, but they are absolutely committed to being a parent that wants to do what's right and raise children that are right. And then there's other people that it's always somebody else's fault. They're never held accountable. And as I watched that mob yesterday on my my YouTube or whatever it was on, my streaming news, I looked at the faces of some of those kids, and many of them were hiding their faces. I think somewhere along the line, a parent needs to sit, or a grandparent with a child, and say, if you have to hide your face in the middle of an act, that is a huge sign that you might not be proud of what you're doing. Or if you're afraid of getting caught at it, it is because you recognize that is a legal act and you are doing something illegal. Perhaps you shouldn't be doing that. The fact that we are bringing everybody together by social media and they whip each other into a frenzy and decide to do that does not make that right. And I do think that that is really important. I was listening to the news again. I've listened to too much news lately, I think. Anyway, and one of the things I heard was that they now have a new mayor over in Chicago. And I was listening to that new mayor after they had another mob thing, just like we had out here in California. And the mayor was saying, you just have to understand that we can't be too hard on those people. They come from a hard part of town. Well, I'm going to tell you this: millions and millions and millions of dollars have been spent to help the people in the hard part of town. And there are many success cases, many. I know a lot of people that didn't come from the good side of town. I listened to Ben Carson the other day at a meeting. I was out in the desert. And now there's a man who came from the poor side of town. And he said, and I will never forget this, he said, I had a choice. And, my mom made it clear to me, even though she worked 3 jobs and wasn't home much, I understood what the expectations were. And that I'm so proud of his mom, because it doesn't matter where you live. Morals aren't related to income. It isn't related to surroundings. I get that it can be very difficult to live in Compton. I get that it can be very difficult to live in parts of Riverside County, quite frankly, or San Bernardino County. But it does not make up an excuse that you don't have to have character just because you don't have all the assets somebody else has. And the fact that these kids were hiding their head so they wouldn't get caught told me that they knew what they're doing is wrong, and they want to make sure they don't get caught, but it didn't slow them down any. The other thing that I think, and one of the quotes that I recently read, and I've been doing a lot of reading about happiness and making good choices and like that of late. As you might remember, last week's show was all about happiness and that kind of thing. And one of the quotes I saw is, the greatest power that a person possesses is the power to choose. I cannot say that loud enough. I believe that with all my heart. The greatest power that a person possesses is the power to choose. Every day we make hundreds of choices. And I think my line of thinking on this is teaching your child to make quality choices, good cognitive reasoning, weighing out the consequences, laying out the path that they're choosing, laying out the ability to choose the high road every time will empower you. Sometimes I say with kids when I go into school, every time you do what's right instead of what's easy, that's how you get character. Making those hard choices. It's interesting. There's a whole segment of our society that's really into sports and discipline and working out and running and playing soccer. And those are all such healthy, good kinds of activities of maybe attending a special camp or listening to a particular presentation of somebody or watching a play or a movie. That was another thing. I went to the movies this last week with my husband and my family, and we wanted to see a particular movie that apparently nobody else wanted to see because they obviously had not sold enough tickets. So they just arbitrarily put us into John Wilkes. I think it's number 4 or something. And it was interesting because I sat there. I really wanted to walk out. It was literally 2 solid hours of violence, of getting even, of beating and pummeling every way that you could. Now, I admire the actor because he does all of his own stunts, and there was a lot of it. But I also thought to myself, I've just sat here and filled my mind with 2 hours of violence. And I think it's important that we look at how we fill our mind. If our kids are spending 3 hours a night on video games, they're in an environment not only where there's a lot of violence, but there's sex connected to the violence, where they're talking to people they don't know, and it is forming their thought processes. And when you start to spend a lot of time choosing those kinds of things, what you're going to find out is at some point you're going to have young people that, number one, have no discipline, but have no ability to make smart, healthy, cognitive choices that will lead to good. So I agree so much the greatest power that a person possesses is the power to choose. We here in America have more opportunity to choose than any other nation in the world. And I worry that is going to go away, and that you're going to have entire generations of kids that really can't understand the value and the power of choice. And one of the things, I'm off on a tangent here, so spare me, if you will. But one of the things I believed all my life is that one of the reasons America is so great is way back in the 20s and 30s, when the mafia and the organized crime was taking over America, there was a process, a legal law enforcement process to stop it. And, I go down to Cancun every now and then on my vacation, or other countries. I've been to Palestine, I've been to Egypt, I've been to Cambodia, I've been to China, been to a lot of places where I look around and I think the difference between us and them is that there was a time when law enforcement took out the power of the mafia to control the little man. And that is why we got the middle class. Because, for instance, I saw Microsoft introduce their software over in Russia, and they were trying to allow lots of small businesses to introduce it. But if they began to sell 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 copies, then the organized criminal element in Russia came in and took them over. And so that is why you don't have middle class in a lot of these countries, is that organized criminal elements come in and make it nearly impossible for you to be an entrepreneur and build a business and succeed and have, not only wealth, but freedom to share it with your family or with your friends, or do more businesses and like that. And it is that commitment, that choice that was made back in 2000 into 1920, 1930 to smash down organized crime so that the little man could succeed and the little woman could succeed. There is no such thing as a little man and a little woman, by the way. I correct myself with that. But what I'm saying is the average individual, the person that didn't come from big money, could still succeed because there wasn't somebody in there, an organized element, putting them down, demanding their profits, and controlling what they're able to do. Those are choices that our nation chose. And I think that those are choices that we need to take a look at today. When a nation tolerates that kind of mob activity and turns and walks away and says it's a social issue, not a moral or criminal issue, then our nation is going to suffer somewhere along the line. My name is Opal Singleton. This show is Exploited, Crimes and Technology. We come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock here on AM 590. We're up against that break, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift, Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
Hello and welcome to Exploited Crimes and Technology. We're back and we're talking about happiness, and we're talking about doing what's right and literally making good and healthy choices. You know, one of the things that I think is the most important thing is a parent who takes the time to walk through life with their child. You know, 20 years seems like a very long time, but when you're living it every day with your child, it goes by very, very quickly. And one of the things that I think is important is that day-to-day dialogue, not the wagging of the finger, thou shalt not, although I'm not against a little thou shalt not every now and then, especially when it comes to social media. But it's the talking about whoever you are. Every decision you make defines who you are. It defines your character. If you decide to be compassionate to other people, that says a lot about you. But if you want everything and you want it yours and you want it now and you want it first and you don't care what it costs the other person, that also defines your character or lack thereof. And every decision will define who you are. And that needs to be thought of in that direction. One of the quotes that I saw, Maya Angelou, my mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive. And to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. I found that interesting because if you watch kids on social media and on, making a TikTok or interacting, it's all about style, because this is the generation that will be recorded. And they will be recorded and recorded and recorded. They will take their photos, their selfies, their videos. They will post them on TikTok, and they send their Instagrams, and they do all of this on a public platform. And it's all about looking good. But I think the dialogue that needs to come here is that it's not just to survive, it's to thrive, and do it with passion. Do it with compassion and humor. And style is more about who you are than how you look on a selfie. Style is part of, are you a person of integrity? Are you a person that thinks of others first? Are you a person that will stand up for someone who's being taken advantage of? I found that interesting in that mob, that the individual that they were breaking into that store with was the same age as they were, but they didn't care. They didn't care what happened to that person, that they were destroying their job, that they were threatening them, they were putting them in peril. And it was absolutely no compassion, no consideration, not only for the fact that what they were doing was stealing and immoral, but they were also causing great harm to somebody else. And I don't hear that kind of dialogue when this is being talked about, whether it's New York, whether it's Chicago, whether it's Compton, whether it's San Bernardino, where it is. If you're causing great destruction, that says an awful lot about your character. And I think that it's important for moms and dads to sit and have that dialogue with the kids, your kids, and say, what do you think about this? Are these people decent, moral people? Is this okay to take something that's not yours to threaten other people because you're all together? You see, all of this starts on social media. And that is an important conversation, I think, to have with your children. What about, I heard a FBI or Homeland Security, I can't remember, agent saying the other day that, look at your phone and how you communicate, what you send. who you talk to, how you text, the kind of videos you send over. That's a definition of who you are. That phone reflects your character. And I think it's important that we talk with our kids. What you do online, does it matter? Is there such a thing as digital morality? What about in those video games? When you get in a video game, you're killing and killing and killing. When we go to a movie, they're killing and killing and killing, and they're killing cops. Is that okay? Because it translates out into real life. And I think that it's important to have those kinds of conversations. I also think the idea of thriving is very, very important. I want to credit my mother for that for me. I wasn't ever going to be allowed to just get C's in school. I bet I got a couple. But anyway, but it wasn't in the cards. It was a thing that I needed to go to school and do the best that I can and get the best grades I can and learn the most I can. And when you get to travel, remember what other people are like, other nationalities, other cultures, and that the joy and the beauty of our world is the fact that there are so many different kinds of people in our world. And what a pleasure it is to be able to see that and acknowledge that. I was at a situation a while back where there were people from all over the world. I was really blown away because most of them were speaking English, and you knew it was English, but I couldn't quite make out what they're saying, And it's really amazing how arrogant we get, that we think we're so easy to understand and we got it all right. But it was interesting. In some cases, people would find out that we were from California and they'd start to look at us like we had four eyes. And I'm like, no, we're normal people. And they go, how do you live there with the stuff we hear? And it's an interesting thing because we don't think about what our reputation looks like on the world stage. So it's an interesting thing. I read another quote that I thought was good. Happiness cannot be traveled to, owned, earned, worn, or consumed. Happiness is the spiritual experience of living every minute with love, grace, and gratitude. And I really, really like that. We don't all pull that off all the time, especially when you get on the freeway or you have a little family get together and maybe you don't agree with something that's being said here or there. We're not all perfect. I wouldn't suggest that. But when I look at things like what's going on in Chicago and San Francisco and Compton, and these are our young people, and they didn't all look like they were gang people. Quite frankly, most of them look like college students of some sort, or at least about that age. And they looked intelligent. And I say to myself, where has this gone wrong? That our society, somewhere those people had family and parents. Where did this go wrong? That thousands of our young people think it's okay to go down to spring break and get totally drunk and naked and demolish property and come together on social media. And as long as there's enough of you, it's okay. And that's really the story the social media in this case is motivating those kids to do. This is happening all over the United States. I just happened to see this particular one. But I honestly think that we look at that and I think we've got to get back to basics. For me, I think that it's really, really important when I talk with kids that you talk about what's right and what's real and the consequences that are going to go with it. It's like kids think there won't be consequences. Having said that, for everyone that was in that Compton raid, I have been training in schools of late, high schools, and I am so amazed at how well those kids listen. I'm always kind of blown away by it. Here's what I know. Most kids don't want to be violated, and most kids want to be leaders. But most kids live in a very competitive environment, and we're putting them online where they can be reached by people all over the world. And every one of those kids want to be loved and admired and successful. And that makes them easy prey for predators online. But what I do know is that I can look out at an audience and I can tell which kids have parents. I can't tell if they're rich or poor, if they come from the good side of town or the bad side of town. All of them find some way to get some outfit that makes them look like they kind of fit in for the most part. But what I can tell you is a kid that has been raised with expectations of high values, of wanting to thrive, not just survive, of wanting to be compassionate for others, of wanting to literally succeed in their life, and wanting to literally look out for each other. So many of our young people tell me that they are afraid for their younger brothers and sisters because they see all the dangers online and they're afraid for them more than they're afraid for themselves. So my name is Opal Singleton. This is Exploited Crimes and Technology. We are up against that break, so stay with us. We're going to be right back. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. I want to tell you about a book I wrote called Seduced: The Grooming of America's Teenagers. It's all about how predators access, groom, recruit, and exploit our young people using social media, online gaming, video chat rooms. Technology is changing at the speed of light, and we have to understand how to keep our kids safe from predators. So you can get this book by going to www.millionkids.org. It's $16. I'll sign it and I'll ship it to you personally. We hope that you will order this book, educate yourself about how to keep our kids safe in this day of changing technology. Join us each Saturday for our radio show at Exploited Crimes and Technology at 3 o'clock on AM 590. The Answer.
Custom Service Systems, a proud supporter of Million Kids, is a family-owned and operated commercial cleaning company servicing the Inland Empire and surrounding areas since 1974. CSS takes pride in their ability to maintain the business facilities they serve and their long-lasting relationships with their valued clients. CSS provides a variety of cleaning systems customized to client needs, including deep cleaning and disinfectant to be COVID-19 compliant. From basic office cleaning to windows and floors, CSS will clean up your mess so you don't have to stress. Custom Service Systems cares about families and communities and wants to give back. Custom Service Systems are proud supporters of Million Kids to keep kids safe from predators. If you need the best cleaning services for your business or corporation, contact Custom Service Systems at cssclean.com. Again, cssclean.com, or call 951-781-9345. That's 951-781-9345. You will know you found the best. Custom Service Systems.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Let me tell you about my friend Doris Anderson at Remax Realty in Upland. She is amazing. She's kind, she's patient, but she listens. And she's informed, and she will help you with your real estate transaction in a way that works for you. Doris, in full disclosure, often supports the work of Million Kids because she cares about young people. But she knows how to analyze a market, how to market a property, and how to find just the right transaction for both buyers and sellers. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate or invest in income property, contact Doris Anderson at Remax Realty, 951-733-8899. That's 951-733-8899. 951-733-8899.
AM 590. The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. My name is Opal Singleton, and we are talking about what happened over in Compton and just how it tears at my soul. And one of the things that I believe with all my heart is you either get to be a solution or you're the problem. You know, everybody makes somebody happy, either by coming or by leaving, okay? And I believe that you get to choice to be the solution or the problem. And those are some of the kinds of conversations that we need to be having with our kids. I can choose either to be the victim of the world or an adventure in search of treasure. It's all a question of how I view my life. This is a quote from Paulo Coelho. And I like that because you get to choose. And I think it's that kind of cognitive reasoning, that kind of problem solving that creates individuals that would never appear in that mob over in Compton. That if you sit and share with your kids as they're growing up, we could do it this way, we could do it that way. They might be both right, but is one going to be better than the other? Is one going to benefit more people? Are we stronger as a community for doing that? We're going to see all of this on our news. We are. I mean, it is where it's at in society. And part of it is that I just don't watch that kind of news. That's the first part. But if you see that, I do think it's important that you have that conversation with kids at school. One of the things that I often talk about is a sextortion, okay? It's blackmail with a photo. Now, one of the first things that happens is that somebody tricks you into sending a naked photo. And the first thing they do is they start blackmailing you. They threaten to show it to the parents, to the other kids, and sometimes they do. About 40% of the time, people ask me, do they really do it? Yeah, they can. And by the way, they can show it to all your TikTok followers. They can share it out on Instagram. They can send that photo everywhere, which is why you don't want to send a photo to anybody ever, 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 never on the internet, okay? But the other thing I share with kids is if you know somebody that's happened to, have some compassion for them. Kids can be absolutely ruthless. And some of those kids end up taking their lives because they're being blackmailed. Talk about grace with your friends and other people that are out there online, that kind of exploitation. I think that's very, very important to do that. We were talking about the greatest power that a person possesses is the power to choose. I wanted to share with you a situation I've been dealing with. Actually, I haven't been dealing with it, but the producer of our film was. And it's an interesting thing. I spent 6 years of my life raising money for a movie called Sextortion, The Hidden Pandemic. And it took everything I had. I lost my husband during that time. I was a widow. Later, I remarried, and we were able to get the money. And I think it's a powerful movie. We chose some people back east to do it, Stephen and Marsha Peaks and Maria Peak. And it was, such a challenge to make it because it was during COVID when the Screen Actors Guild was shut down, but they lived in Virginia. Actually, many of the photos that are in there, the drawings and stuff that are in there were done in Ukraine to be able to save some money and also to help those people. And so it was a very valuable movie, and it's out. It's on Amazon, and it's on iTunes and Apple TV, called Sextortion, The Hidden Pandemic. And you can show this movie to anyone in your family. It is, we were careful not to make it so that it would be X-rated. And we also were careful to protect the victims because we care. But one of the things that's happened in that situation is that we've had some pushback on it from NPR, National Public Radio. And there's an individual, a reporter there, that apparently has had some past negativity with the producer. And they called me and wanted to know why I picked him. And I said, because he's had other excellent movies, not just him and his wife. And for whatever reason, NPR has chosen not to listen to any of the facts that we provide them. They're insisting on putting out statistics that are related to child abuse, which is a completely different kind of crime than someone who's being blackmailed on social media by someone they've never met. And I've talked till I'm blue in the face, and apparently they put the article out anyway. And the article basically, didn't portray me badly, but there's really been an effort to put down the producers of that film. And one of the things they do is they don't understand the crime, and they're using statistics from other crimes to say that our statistics are not accurate. And trust me, we've researched this. This was filmed inside of Homeland Security, and and the FBI and National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And it's being shown all over the United States, and it's already been involved in saving many, many lives and young people who will think twice before they send a photo. So why would you want to take the low road of going after someone and putting down a movie that can save children's life, keep them from committing suicide, keep them from being blackmailed and like that? So one more time, the greatest power that a person possesses is the power to choose, the power to do good and build up and help others and literally provide tools out there that can save kids, or the power to literally destroy somebody and bring them down for what? And make a movie so that it isn't as successful. That's really, really sad. I look at these kinds of things in life and I say, why? Why do somebody want to do that? And I cannot answer that. I cannot answer why 70 or 80 teenagers would want to screw up their life by going in a mob and taking what, a 6-pack of beer? You know, for $8, you're going to change your potential for a career, for going to college. Even more important, a damage to your own character, because, I mean, how do you sleep with yourself at night at some point if you know that you have caused great harm to other people? This isn't about what side of town you're on. This isn't about whether you're poor or not poor. This is about getting back to basics, building character, doing what's right, standing up to be somebody and a leader. And why people want to take the low road and entice others to do so, and why there's that movement that that's okay, I don't know. But I do hope that we stop and think about it. For me, it's very important that we take the high road. I'm not perfect, neither are you, neither are your children. But we get choices, and it is important that we know who we are and what we stand for, and that we do what's right, and that we have compassion for other people. I just feel that that is so important. And, you know, Grandma and Grandpa, it's not too late to have that conversation with your kids. Old-fashioned values are not out of style where I come from. It is the difference of whether we're going to have the right kind of leaders for the future. I mean, I look at this and those kids are now 17, 18, 19 years old. But in another 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, they're going to be the corporate leaders. And they're the ones that are going to decide whether or not they're going to be honest and run their life in a way that they're proud or not. And so all of this is something I've been speculating on, I've been thinking about, I've been sharing with some of the others. I want to tell you how much I appreciate you as an audience. You know, I'm not sure how I ever really got into this. I don't know. But I do know this, that I deal with a lot of kids that make bad choices, that have been compromised, that are easy to seduce, that run off with pimps and gangs and like that, and they pay a tremendous price with their life. And I say to myself, what if somebody could have got there first and just shared with them in a loving, caring way all about what's really important? I think in the work that I do with kids, that most kids want to do what's right, but they need to be able to think that out and make cognitive decisions, even in the middle of the heated battle where somebody's trying to get them to join a mob. Think twice what you do there, because it will change your life for the rest of your life. And it is never too late to do what's right. And I just believe that that's really, really important, that we get back to the basics. It doesn't matter what happens in video games. It doesn't matter what happens on those TikTok videos and all of that that's out there. What does matter is that quality time we spend with ourselves and our families, and we are able to search our soul and be proud of who we are and what we do. My name is Opal Singleton. We bring you this show every Saturday at 3 o'clock on AM 590. You can write to me at opal, OPAL, millionkids.org. you can go to millionkids.org and order some of our products and help us out. Give your family a big hug this week, and I'll see you next Saturday at 3 o'clock on AM 590.
This message is all about Million Kids, the organization that helps locate missing kids throughout Southern California and educates to keep kids safe from predators. Million Kids educates school administrators, teachers, parents, and teenagers how predators identify a potential victim and the methods they use to recruit innocent kids. BMW of Riverside is a proud supporter of Million Kids. Visit BMW of Riverside at the Adams Street exit off the 91 freeway or click bmwofriverside.com.